Government drama llama ding dong with some tips on how to deal with difficult people. I would like to point out also that the timing of this is more in connection with events that I was helping out with this weekend versus a particular video from Jubilee going around, but hey, why not? The first thing, and I would say one of the biggest, is to stay calm. This is something that is difficult and will come with practice. In many ways, anger is kind of like an ugg drag. You don't want to feed into it because once you start feeding into that, it'll just keep growing and then it's just never going to end in a good spot. The second thing I'm going to mention is knowing when to walk away. And it might seem weird that I put this near the top, but there's a reason for it. There are a lot of people out there who just want to argue and they'll say things just to get a reaction, regardless of if it's good or bad. If you're talking to someone and you clock pretty quickly that they're talking in bad faith, walk away. As a blue dot in a red state, just don't waste your time on this. The third thing that I'm going to add is don't get defensive. When someone is trying to argue in bad faith, they'll often try to get you on the defensive because if you spend more time defending yourself, you won't have time to go on the offensive and ask them questions. The fourth thing is to ask yourself, is this worth my time and or energy? If someone seems like they are willing to take in information or they're starting to question a lot of things that they've been taught, then I'll try to kind of work with them as far as having a conversation. At the same time, though, is this going to be worth my time? You can certainly make an argument one way or the other as to whether or not you're like planting that initial seed that makes them start thinking about things, but at the same time, I don't see that as my personal job. Another thing to think about is if someone considers themselves to be super MAGA, facts aren't necessarily going to be a huge help. One of the phrases that I have been using in conversation is, why do you want that to be true? And in general, kind of any question that's like, well, why do you believe this? Why do you want this to be the case? These people aren't as introspective as they think they are sometimes. And so when you say things like, why do you want that to be true? They have to stop and think for a second. To be fair, sometimes if you ask this question, they'll get more upset because then they don't really want to actually think about the why of why they want something to be true. This is obviously not a full list. This is just the main things I kind of focus on when I'm in conversation. So if you want the list, feel free to pause, add any others in the comments. In all honesty, things are probably going to get worse before they start to get better, so it's important to practice now how to center yourself and remain calm. That's all the mental capacity I have after this weekend. Llama out.